go. Nothing like a hot blazing fire on a cold, snowy day. Mickey with carrytrainer.com. The flakes are a-falling, and we've got the roastery running today. Allows me some time to think and reflect. And I was thinking about a dear old friend, and I thought two things. One, I freaking miss the heck out of this guy. And two, I wish more people like you would have gotten to know him. And as I sat and pondered this, I thought, well, you can get to know him. I'm going to share him with you, and I am going to start a series today. I haven't come up with a title for it, but the premise is this: dudes that you should know. And we're going to start out with number one. His name was Gary Wizawati. I have talked about Gary in the past. In our life, mine especially, because I can speak clearly about mine, people come and go, right? And there are people that leave a profound and lasting impact on us. Sometimes good and sometimes not so good. And Gary was one of those good, lasting and profound impacts. It was about 20 years ago. I had been recently divorced. I am floundering in life. I'm trying to figure out what my way is. I've got two young kids. I'm trying to be the best dad I can. There's not a lot of right decisions, it seems like I'm making at the time. I go get a job at this nationwide corporation doing some sales. I got out of the construction field for a little bit, trying to see if I could come at the work a little differently. I wasn't suited for it. I had no formal education. I'd never worked in a corporation. I was a sarcastic, crass, smart-ass kid that was used to being out on job sites, smoking and joking with the boys. And it got me in trouble. I did a really good job there selling, but I created issues because of my attitude and my mouth. Gary was an imposing figure, 6.5 feet tall, 250-ish pounds, former Marine. He was a teacher for years and years. He worked in special needs. Very kind, but very strict and stern. Always had a pressed shirt on, always had a tie on, always looked good, mustache trimmed perfectly. And one day I had some friction in the office. He was my direct manager. And this whole relationship was new to me. I worked out in job sites my whole life pretty much to that point. I was never in an office setting, copy machines and all that crap. That was not anything I'd ever done. And he asked me to speak to him, and I, yes sir, approached him. And he placed his hands on both my shoulders, these monster meat hooks. And I remember looking up at him. I'm 6 feet tall at the time. This guy was probably 70 pounds heavier than me. And he was calm, but he was stern. And he said, "Young man, your sarcasm is no substitute for wit or for humor. You've got some choices to make." And I remember I looked up at him and gulped. And he said, "You can go out of this meeting and you can continue to go about your life as you have been, making jokes about things, or you can make some changes." He says, "Either way, the joke will be on you when life doesn't work out the way you want it to." And we proceeded to have a 20-minute conversation about that. He was very frank. He was straightforward. In that moment, there was a flash of lightning in my brain, why am I acting like this at certain times when it's not appropriate, or maybe only I think it's funny? It wasn't like I changed overnight. Hell, sometimes I'm still very crass and sarcastic, but make no mistake, Gary's voice comes back to me. Many other instances like that with Gary happened in my life, and we became very good friends. He a mentor, me a student, so to speak, of his in sales and marketing, but in life. It was a couple years after that he complained of some stomach pains and was diagnosed with cancer, and he was gone less than a year later. His family honored me with being one of his pallbearers, and I spent some time with him the last several months of his life. This massive man withered away in weeks. He kept a great attitude and went out the same way he lived. Not a day goes by that I don't have something in my life happen because of the things he said to me. Moral of this story: what we say and do matters. He probably wouldn't even remember that conversation if I didn't remind him of it word for word if he was still here. But to me, it meant the world. Invest in the young people around you. And as you're older, pass on the stuff that they passed on to you. So today I honor my friend Gary, and we'll be back to talk about somebody else better than I that helped forge who I am today. Be well. Don't be dickheads. Think about these people in your life. I know that they're there because you're a good guy too. Peace out.